Okay, today I want to read an old blog post which I had started writing about a year ago, but I never ended up posting it. It's about how frustrated and annoyed I was with my art and my progress as an artist about a year ago, but I never posted it because it was really angsty and really whiny. But anyway, I figured that I would read it today because some comments I had gotten from some friends recently, and I'll go ahead and read it and talk about it a little bit more afterwards. If I don't do something regularly, I tend to forget all about it. I've rediscovered a feeling which I haven't felt in a long time, a feeling of frustration and incompetence in terms of my skill as an artist. Lately, I haven't been drawing out of passion or inspiration. Getting prints done for cons is what has really been driving my work. That's not to say that I'm not happy or satisfied with what I have done for cons, but it just doesn't have a raw, for lack of a better term, feeling to it. It doesn't speak to me personally. Now that con season is over and that I've recovered from the rush, I've been drawing purely passion pieces. Pieces which I know are not from popular series, are unappealing in subject matter, and are, for me, experimental. I really like these for two reasons. Number one, the rush I feel when drawing something I care and love about, and two, the joy of learning and executing something new. I don't think that I have to elaborate on the first point, but let me explain the second. Because of con work, I have limited myself to what I'm comfortable with, as well as what I can do quickly and efficiently. This really has stymied my growth in terms of developing my visual vocabulary. I did further refine my style and technique, but I didn't learn anything new. I feel like now my thought process has shifted. I want to draw something new, something different, something challenging, despite my lack of experience or skill. I really haven't done something like this since I started my Sketch a Day project a few years ago. Back then, I really drew anything and everything, even though I didn't have a clue how to draw. I remember being frustrated not being able to draw backs, odd angles, and decent backgrounds. I also started to follow more artists, and I felt inadequate compared to them. I felt like I could never catch up. I could never be as good as them, no matter how hard I tried. Being pro level was out of my reach. Today, I feel the same frustration as back then. I have so many ideas which I know I cannot execute, but I want to regardless. I have a few pieces on my computer right now which just aren't gelling. There are a lot of new things which I am trying out, new crops, new shading techniques, new anything and everything. I focus in so much on each new little thing that I lose sight of the whole. Each experiment on its own is a success, but together it doesn't mesh together. The elements clash. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that deviating from my usual workflow would create fragmented pictures. I just don't feel like these experiments are really building on top of each other. Each has no relation to the others, and I don't know how they fit together. I know this is a learning process and I am in the middle of it, but I'm frustrated. I want to exceed my current limits. I want to make something better, but these experiments make me feel like my progress is going backwards, like I'm making something worse than I could have before. Equally as unhealthy, I am comparing myself to other artists and feeling inadequate. I can't help it. I need to have an example to follow when trying something new, guidelines. Naturally, in this process, I compare my work to the artist which I'm imitating. Of course, I can't do the thing that I'm trying to imitate as well as they can on my first try, but it makes me sad that I can't. These are people which I admire and aspire to be like. I know it can't happen overnight, but I wish that it could. All of this is not new to me. I've gone through this before, but in the moment, this is what I'm feeling. I know that the only way to get out of this is hard work. Practice, practice, practice. That mantra is no more comforting than when I said it the last time, but it is what I have to do. Even though they're my own words, I couldn't read them out loud smoothly. Recently, a friend of mine at a con told me how my videos used to help him out when he was starting to learn how to draw. And I don't want to sound vain or something, but I've gotten that comment before from random people and good friends too about my Sketch a Day project, how that inspired them to draw again. I don't get that comment a lot anymore because now I'm trash, but I think that within the community, we all inspire each other to do this and that to a certain extent, and we all have people that we look up to. And those people who we look up to, we have a tendency to think that everything that they put out there is perfect and that it came out exactly the way that they wanted it to, and they have no troubles, unlike us, who, when we try to draw hands or we try to shade skin or shade hair or draw backgrounds or something, it never turns out right for us, but for them, it turns out perfectly. And that's a sentiment that I really echoed in my unposted blog post that I just read out. That's really not true. All of us are trying to do the same thing, which is to become better, to learn how to do new things, and to improve. And that's a step-by-step process. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that because we have this thing that we need to get done. We need to get this project done for school, or we need to get prints done for a con, or whatever it is. There's some deadline coming up and we just have to meet it. And through that, we kind of lose sight of what art is all about, at least for me. It's just something to do with my hands, something to fill up my free time, something fun, which I enjoy doing. But you lose sight of that when you put this external pressure on yourself, whether it's really external, like it's a con or it's school, or whether it's something that you pressure yourself into, like I don't have a style, I look too generically like anime, or I want to pursue something more realistic, or I want to be able to draw backgrounds, and you put this external pressure on yourself, or not just pressure on yourself, which maybe isn't healthy, maybe isn't something that you need at that moment. And I think that sometimes you need to take a step back and just do what you want, and things will naturally come out of there. And if you try to force it, that's a recipe for disaster. So that was a lot of rambling, but I think the lesson at the end of the day is just have fun. And now that I think about it, this works perfectly into the mantra of Amanchu, which is all for fun and fun for all.